Young Sheldon Season 6 Episode 14 sets up 5 TBT storylines. Hello everyone, my name is Elena. Welcome to my channel. Before starting the video, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button and give this video a like. Up caution. Young Sheldon Season 6 Episode 14 spoilers ahead. Young Sheldon Season 6 Episode 14 also introduced 5 stories from The Big Bang Theory, in addition to the birth of Mandy and Georgie's child. The clan has reason to rejoice when baby Constance, the newest member of the Cooper family, finally arrives. Her birthday falls in the middle of a lot of important events in Young Sheldon, including the culmination of a few continuing plots. Therefore, although the main plot point of a launch party and a whole human being is the arrival of George and Mandy's daughter, the episode also features a number of events, some of which are directly related to specific plotlines in The Big Bang Theory. The Cooper home underwent significant adjustments as a result of George and Mandy's unplanned pregnancy. However, everyone has gradually begun to acclimate to their new normal and return to their previous habits. However, Season 6 of Young Sheldon brought in new plots involving other family members. Sheldon's work on his grant database project led to him clashing with East Texas Tech. The Cooper parents' possible extramarital romances are also surprisingly revisited in the Big Bang Theory spin-off, even though Mary and George appear to have patched up their marriage. These advancements give rise to a number of significant stories in the Big Bang Theory. Related, Young Sheldon offers a fantastic justification for the Mandy and Georgie plot hole in TBD. Georgie has a good heart and excellent people abilities, which make him trustworthy and likable, even though he can be slow and dense in Young Sheldon. Consequently, he accepted the burden of becoming a soon-to-be father, even though Mandy's pregnancy was completely unexpected. But he becomes overcome by all the feelings that come with being a father right before Constance is born. The young genius goes out of his way to console his sibling, even though Georgie actually hurts Sheldon, as shown in TBD. The scenario emphasizes their friendship, even though young Sheldon doesn't rely on it. But the scene also reminds me of a scene from The Big Bang Theory, where Sheldon suddenly provided Howard with some emotional assistance. Sheldon had a history of treating his pals badly, but he consistently singled Howard out, disparaging his MIT degree and undermining his astronautic accomplishments. However, Sheldon's surprise offered him sincere words of encouragement when he showed genuine fear about maybe not being a good father because he didn't have a decent role model himself. This was similar to how Sheldon encouraged Georgie in Young Sheldon when he had similar doubts. Missy is the best Cooper, as Young Sheldon has repeatedly demonstrated. She is still marginalized, though, as the character is primarily used in a supporting capacity. Although it's unclear if this problem will be resolved going ahead, Paige's return to Young Sheldon Season 6 has given the show no justification to keep failing her, and it has infiltrated its narrative. Missy feels excluded in a launch party and a whole human being, when her parents neglect to come retrieve her from school. This might exacerbate her rebellious inclinations, which would account for her failure to fulfill her adult potential as defined by TBD. Billy is also left stranded at school because Sheldon enlisted Brenda Sparks to take Mandy to the hospital. The Sparks child still has feelings for Missy, even though young Sheldon doesn't express them. Even though Sheldon's sister isn't interested right now since she feels excluded and prefers to spend time with Billy, it's still possible that they will become a pair, as predicted by a widely believed theory. Associated with, Mary is ruined by young Sheldon in order to defend George's infidelity. Mary, who witnesses Brenda and George flirting, believes that George is Brenda's covert young Sheldon boyfriend when Mandy is giving baby. Prior to Sheldon's mom becoming able to question them about specifics, but Pastor Rob shows up in the ICU and provides George with the refutation of his wife's charges. This results in a significant dispute that remains unsolved. It has been established that the problem will influence the rest of season 6, and based on how events develop, their marriage may only worsen from this point on. Mary hardly said anything positive about George, which is probably because of this. Sheldon has always been closer to his mother, which will help to understand why he shared the majority of her negative opinions about his father. It makes sense that the boy genius would constantly harp on George when you combine that with the fact that you caught him cheating. For a long time, young Sheldon's antagonist was Mary's church. She was irrational and critical, even against her family, because of her commitment to it. The Cooper mother became more laid back and enjoyable to be around after being forced to break off her relationship with the Institute in Young Sheldon Season 5. But ever since, The Big Bang Theory proved that she would eventually re-establish contact with her congregation. The question has been how she will do so. After Pastor Rob mentioned that the church was in disarray due to Mary's absence, young Sheldon might have just set the stage for that. Mandy might have an impact on The Big Bang Theory, even if she didn't actually appear in the original comedy. It makes sense that Mandy's parents dislike Georgie given their circumstances. However, as The Big Bang Theory reveals, the oldest Cooper child married at the age of 19, which suggests that Mandy might have been his first wife, as young Sheldon might demonstrate. Georgie will likely become closer to the McAllisters, who run a nearby tire business, if this is the case. He can enter the market in this way and go on to become the prosperous proprietor of Dr. Tire. It's no secret that young Sheldon is the beloved prequel to The Big Bang Theory, the show that gave us some of the quirkiest, most lovable nerds on TV. But what fans may not have expected is how young Sheldon would go on to subtly set up several major TBD storylines. And guess what? Young Sheldon Season 6, Episode 14 is absolutely packed with nods, Easter eggs, and even full-blown setups for some iconic Big Bang Theory moments. Yes, you heard that right. The latest episode is not just about Sheldon's antics or his family drama. It's a strategic and brilliantly executed move to bring the two shows closer together than ever before. Buckle up, because these 5 TVBT storylines that were set up in Young Sheldon will blow your mind. 1. Sheldon and Amy's relationship, the foundation of an iconic couple. Let's start with one of the most iconic relationships from The Big Bang Theory, Sheldon and Amy. Anyone who's watched TBT knows that their relationship evolved from awkward to adorable to, well, downright heartwarming. But in Young Sheldon Season 6, Episode 14, we're seeing subtle, yet critical moments that hint at the future of Sheldon's love life with Amy Farrah Fowler. In this episode, Sheldon continues to navigate his social difficulties, his obsession with science, and his lack of emotional awareness. But there's a moment in Episode 14 where Sheldon's interactions with his family, particularly his mother Mary, start to hint at his future relationships, and even his ability to connect on an emotional level. What fans might not realize is that this moment isn't just a character development for Sheldon. It's a foreshadowing of his growth. Remember how Sheldon was initially dismissive of the idea of love in TBDT? Well, Young Sheldon Season 6 Episode 14 is giving us the building blocks for that eventual shift in his character that leads him to Amy. This slow progression is a testament to how young Sheldon subtly intertwines with TBD's key relationships. If there's one thing The Big Bang Theory did brilliantly, it was turning Howard Wolowitz into a relatable, and at times hilariously neurotic father. As fans remember, Howard's transition from being the goofy, womanizing engineer to a responsible parent was a major arc on TBDT. Well, Young Sheldon Season 6, Episode 14 is dropping some pretty heavy hints that Georgie Cooper's journey to parenthood will closely mirror Howard's transformation. In this episode, Georgie faces the consequences of his own reckless behavior, and his emotional growth is put to the test when he finds out that he's going to be a father. Much like Howard, Georgie is initially overwhelmed by the idea of parenthood, but we can already see the evolution beginning. Just like Howard had to mature rapidly when he found out Bernadette was pregnant, Georgie's path will force him to step up and learn to take responsibility for someone else's life. In fact, in TBBT, Howard's relationship with Bernadette and their child becomes a comedic yet tender centerpiece, and young Sheldon is positioning Georgie to have a similar trajectory. Expect Georgie to transform from an irresponsible young man to a proud father in a way that feels almost identical to Howard's journey. Just without the Big Bang Theory, you know that Sheldon and Leonard's friendship, and at times rivalry, is the heart of the series. Their dynamic is one of the most fascinating aspects of TBD. It's part comic relief, part emotional grounding, and all-around hilarious. So how does young Sheldon Season 6, Episode 14 set up their friendship before it even begins? In this episode, Sheldon is shown interacting with his peers in ways that hint at the unique relationship he'll eventually form with Leonard. Sheldon's genius and utter disregard for social norms create a rift between him and other kids, but there's a glimmer of something more when he starts to show subtle hints of respect toward his future best friend. The episode showcases Sheldon's vulnerability in small but significant ways, making it clear that Leonard's role in his life will be crucial as Sheldon grows up. The foundation is built on Sheldon's need for intellectual stimulation, and the fact that, no matter how eccentric Sheldon is, he will eventually need someone to confide in and rely on. Leonard will step up as that friend, just as he did in TBBT. And who can forget that Leonard is one of the only people who can challenge Sheldon in a way that forces Sheldon to grow emotionally? This moment in young Sheldon episode 14 shows us that the pieces are being carefully set in place for this iconic friendship to blossom. One of the most consistent elements in TBD is Sheldon's relationship with his mother, Mary Cooper. While Mary is supportive and loving, she also plays the role of the constant moral anchor for Sheldon. In young Sheldon, Mary's character is fully fleshed out, and Season 6, Episode 14 offers fans an even deeper glimpse into how Sheldon's relationship with his mother will continue to shape him. In this episode, Mary's influence over Sheldon's life is undeniable. Whether it's through her advice or the values she instills in him, Mary remains a constant presence. This dynamic will carry over to TBD, where Sheldon's dependence on his mother's guidance is ever present, even when he's an adult. Fans of TBT know that Mary's ability to call Sheldon out on his behavior is one of the show's most memorable and heartfelt moments. Episode 14 of Young Sheldon sets up the foundation for that unwavering influence, showing how Mary will continue to impact Sheldon's life, both positively and negatively in the future. Any Big Bang Theory fan remembers the famous train incident, when Sheldon freaked out over something as simple as his train being late. That moment became one of Sheldon's defining quirks, his absolute obsession with order, routine, and control. Young Sheldon Season 6, Episode 14 provides an early glimpse into this characteristic, laying the groundwork for future episodes in TBBT where Sheldon's rigid habits will be tested. In this episode, Sheldon has a minor incident where his daily routine is interrupted, and true to his nature, he responds with anxiety and frustration. This moment is a small yet significant setup for the much larger and more dramatic train-related meltdown in The Big Bang Theory. It's these little moments that make Young Sheldon such a perfect prequel, allowing fans to trace back Sheldon's eccentricities to their roots. In conclusion, Young Sheldon Season 6, Episode 14 is not just a standalone episode. It's a masterclass in tying the prequel to The Big Bang Theory. From setting up Sheldon's relationship with Amy, to foreshadowing Georgie's fatherhood, to laying the groundwork for iconic moments like the famous train incident, this episode is a treasure trove of TBT storylines in the making. For fans who thought Young Sheldon was just a fun spin-off, this episode proves that it's far more than that. It's a love letter to TBD intricately connecting the dots between Sheldon's childhood and the quirky adult we know and love. So if you haven't watched Young Sheldon Season 6, Episode 14 yet, you're missing out on some of the most jaw-dropping Easter eggs and foreshadowing you'll ever see. Trust us, you'll want to rewatch this episode multiple times to catch every clever callback to the Big Bang Theory that's waiting for you. Thanks for watching this video. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel and stay with us.